Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Kylene Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome into Small Business Saturdays. My name is Kylene Montgomery, and you can find me over at our Success Group. I am excited to be here today. This was a bonus session, and it's something that my wife Kylene and I have been talking about quite a bit. I talked about this lots out in Louisiana, and so wasn't planning on being able to be here today, but the volleyball tournament got moved till tomorrow. So exciting here. Talk about something that I am extremely passionate about and really have been able to really do a lot of work on lately, not only for myself, but working with other people. And this is kind of one of those things, right? When you feel passionate about something, things just seem to start falling into place, right? I felt this, and I've always kind of been talking about this kind of thing. So what we're talking about today is clarifying our reason and how to do that. And I've always kind of been working on it, but the more I work on it, the more clear it becomes on how to do this. And so I wanted to just go through that, right? I wanted to first obviously discuss the why, right? The reason this is important, to uncover what's important to us, to uncover our reason, or, finding our why, and just why that's so important to a successful business, really to a successful life. So we're going to start there, but we're going to go through some other stuff. I'm also going to get help from a very special guest here. We're going to be walking through kind of a step-by-step process to help identify your core values and kind of pinpoint your strengths and just focus on ourselves so that we can determine how we're going to serve our customers and clients. And so I'm excited about that. But first, I have to give a huge shout out to our friend and OSG member, Mo from 27 Sable. I know my microphone is in the way here, but it says, so very thankful, including grateful. And I can't read it upside down, but it has a fantastic message. Maybe Kylene will help. Unbelievably blessed. There we go. I saw these on her website, and I just had to get them, and they arrived yesterday, and beautiful packaging, and I was super excited. So thank you, Mo. Great job. If you want to check out and you want your very own Thankful, Grateful, Blessed shirt, head over to 27. That's the number 27sable.com. So, all right. Well, before I welcome my special guest in here, let me share a little bit more about this. Just to kind of make sure we have plenty of context before I welcome my guest in here. And because here's what I've learned when it comes to anything in my life or especially in my business, right? That our internal world, it creates our external reality, right? My perspective, my view of things is created by what's going on in here, right? So when I'm not feeling the best emotionally, right? Guess what's happening out there? But when I'm thankful, grateful, and blessed, right, then I'm creating things that are thankful, grateful, and blessed. So, but we have to understand our purpose, and because understanding that, it can motivate us, right? It's really not only just the purpose, the why, the reason, right? That it really is the motivation, right? And so if we identify that, then we can kind of tap back into that and help us kind of truly align what we're trying to do with our values and passions. And so by clarifying our reason, it also allows us to more clearly communicate the kind of impact that we intend to make and the results that we intend to provide. So, so what I want to do today is kind of give you a rundown of how to identify your why, how to clarify your reason, and then turn that into a powerful statement that can guide your business and help you achieve your goals. And here's the deal, whether you're just starting out or kind of maybe feeling like it's time to refocus, this is a process. So, in business for 15, 20 years, it's always important to go back to this because our why, our purpose, our mission, it never changes. But what happens is we get more clarity about it. In fact, just this last weekend, mine has become a little bit more clear for me. And so I had to update the statement. And so no matter where you're at, this part of the overall process is just crucial, right? And my process I call the fundamentals of business success, and I think this part is crucial. This is number 2, right after taking 100% responsibility, after empowering ourselves. So this is definitely a crucial step, and because this step is so crucial, I am going to welcome in my special guest, if I can get to the right place here. So my special guest is my beautiful wife, Kylene Montgomery, who is also a Success Principles trainer and is a yoga instructor over at riseshinesmile.com, and also my business partner here for our success group. So Kylene, welcome in this morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Excited to be here to talk about this.
Yeah, and I know this is important to you, and I know you've gotten a lot out of it, and I know your journey. It's one thing for me to sit and share how I've done it, right? And because that's the way it works for me. But when you can bring somebody else in, right, and say, how's this worked for you?
Yeah.
It might be the exact same process, but from that different perspective, it helps people differently. So I've asked you to join me because clarifying your reason has been a process as well, right? And so as I just mentioned, I'm just really excited to gain your perspective on kind of the importance and the steps on how you've utilized this understanding and clarity, and basically just, again, a different side of this. So first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I guess maybe just to kind of give people a starting point, can you share with us why this process has been important for you?
Well, as you know, this has been a journey for sure. And it wasn't until this success action plan came into place that I really was able to kind of connect fully to it. And like you said, when you're introducing this, it evolves over time. It does change, but at the core, it's still the same, right? So I think what was happening is I felt like I was a Kylene here, a Kylene here, and a Kylene here, doing all these different things. But at the core of it, I was still on the same mission, but I didn't know how to put that to language. So this process of finding what it is that I'm all about and have clarity about it has helped me identify with who I am, with all the other benefits that come with that. And I think we'll talk about that later. But it gives me that reason to keep moving forward. When times get tough, I understand and I can come back. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it helps me connect and attract more things to me to keep sharing what my gifts are.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Such good information there. And so I guess this is going to be different than, if in other Small Business Saturdays episodes where I've had guests on, even with you in the past, where it's kind of been a little bit more like an interview. That's not what's going to happen here today. This is going to be a little different than that, I want to really kind of dig into the process. And then like we talked about, what I'm hoping is that people will see that different perspective. Right. So Kylene, again, this is not our typical interview, so feel free to jump in. I know that I don't make it easy to interrupt, but you can interrupt without feeling bad about it at all. So no repercussions for interrupting. Okay. Not that there ever are. We do
and
pretty good.
Just to add to that, to share that, we're all works in progress. So when you go through this, don't expect to have that perfect outcome right away.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself as you move through the process.
Yeah. Well, and I've been fortunate to have the space and ability, through your support and just kind of some of the things that we have going on in our lives that I've been able to work on this like a lot, right? I mean, it's something that's been a work in progress, a journey for me probably since we went to One Day to Greatness, to be honest with you. Yeah. Right. I mean, that was kind of why I was interested. So you and I we're going to go way back here real quick. You and I were just kind of feeling like there was, you were working at the VA at the time, I was working for somebody else at the time. And we just felt like there was something missing, right? There was, things were great, but the there were just check boxes that seemed to be unchecked, right? That's the way I looked at it, at least.
Yeah.
And so, we just started kind of searching for things, and we ran across The Secret, a movie out there called The Secret. Lots of fantastic people in that movie, but the one that resonated most, and I don't know if it resonated most with me or if it was both of us, but Jack Canfield was somebody that really resonated with me. I believe you feel the same, but
Oh yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But there were definitely some other fantastic people in that movie. But anyhow, Jack resonated with me, and then just so happened that there was a event up in Chicago, and for my birthday, you got me a ticket to that event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That
then
was a big deal.
yeah, well, the real birthday present was that you went with, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was,
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that
Yeah,
was
okay.
an added
All right.
bonus.
All right. And I see everybody checking in, so hang tight. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. Yeah, so went to that. But the whole reason that I really wanted to go to that, my purpose was that I didn't feel like I knew what my why was. I had not too much before that read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and so I couldn't figure it out, right? And I really was at a point where I was ready to just say, I don't have one. I don't have a purpose.
I remember
here
you
to
saying that.
I'm here to be, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, you remember me saying that. So anyhow, that was kind of the journey. That was what, 2018?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so it's been since 2018, and then through being able to get our success group off the ground with the support of Todd, right? This has been a big process, and I've hit lots of roadblocks along the way, and really honestly, and we're going to share one of the things that really helped push me over the hump here in just a bit. But so when you say it's a process, I guess that's what took me into this long story. Is it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that, right? If you don't put in that much effort, it's not that you're getting it wrong. It just happened to be that I was blocked or stuck for whatever reason, and so it took me a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so our goal, Kylene, your and I goal for a lot of the things we do is just to try to make that process easier for others, right? To be able to be there to support them, so it doesn't take them 3 years and 13 type pages of notes, right?
Yes.
So.
Well, that's why I think this excuse me, the success action plan that you'll talk about really helped me. It's not that we didn't have these tools all along, but however you put them together, it was packaged, it was able to just really walk me through it step by step, and try not to overthink it. I think that's the huge part. We can overthink things and then make answers that technically might not be for you, but for other people. And so coming back to that was really huge.
And that's a really good point, Kylene. The overthinking it part, that was definitely where I was stuck. And so, it took a while, right, to figure that out. But, interesting that you say that, it took, we knew that all the tools were there, but it took until we kind of found this process, until I was able to package this in such a way. And this wasn't like this work of, I was intentionally, I wanted to do something to help people set their goals, but I knew that they needed to have that clear understanding of their why, and all the work that we had done in that. And so, it was until I just stopped trying to overthink it that it just kind of came to me, right? It was like this instinctual, here's how it goes. And so, I think that's really also important reminder that we don't want to overthink this, but, kind of go through the process. So, and then one other thing that stands out, right? We think that people buy the best products and services out there, right? But the reality is people buy the best, they buy the products and services that they can understand and connect to the fastest. Right? You got to take away that pain of making it difficult for them to participate. Right? How do you ease them into things? And a lot of that comes with clarity. And if you don't know what you want to do, how are you going to clearly say that to your customers? Right? if we want to tie this back into business.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And for
Yeah.
me, I think that's been like the biggest aha going through the process.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, before we get any further, let's say good morning to some of the live listeners that are tuned in. We've got Tanya checking in this morning. Good morning, Tanya. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Love that picture with you and Jay. And we've got a Facebook user checking in from South Carolina, and another Facebook user, maybe the same Facebook user. Great movie, such an inspirational movie. And another Facebook user saying good morning. If you happen to be coming up as a Facebook user, you can either jump over to the YouTube side at liveosg.com. You could go directly to the Our Success Group Facebook page at Our Success Group Pro is where you'll find that. So it's probably in one of the groups. If you want to stay in the group and allow us to see who you are, you just have to give StreamYard permission. So if you'll go to streamyard.com/Facebook, that will give them permission to show your name from a group. So it's just a Facebook thing. And good morning, Jay. All right. And good morning to a great couple. Michelle, thank you so much. Hopefully you're doing well. I believe recovering at this point, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what our thoughts or prayers are heading your way. So, okay. Well, real quick, I know we want to get into this process and there's a lot, but again, without clarity of why we're doing this, it does make it a little bit more of a challenge, right? So to me, there's a couple of bullet points here, Kylene, and I'm looking forward to hearing your take on this too. But ultimately, to me, when I break it down to its very core essence of what the purpose of spending this amount of time, effort, and energy digging into ourselves deeply. And Lenny, yes, you do. Good morning, Lenny. Thank you for being here. I'm excited for Lenny to be here. He's somebody that is doing good work and sharing great information. So I'm excited to hear his take as well. And I got to meet him at APA, so face to face for the first time. That was really awesome. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The point of all this, right? Why it's worthy of our time is that ultimately everything that we accomplish, everything that we achieve, all the success, anything, I mean, this could be anything, but obviously in Small Business Saturdays world, it's the things that we do to grow our business, to improve our business, to make our business what our idea of success is that our reasons have to be bigger than our excuses. Yeah. Right. And, if we can, simplify it and go back to, the joke that my dad and I always say is, I need to lose 20 pounds and I've only got 30 to go. Right. But right now, my reason for getting rid of the sugar, eating a little more healthy, exercising a little bit more, it's not greater than the excuses that I make with, I don't have enough time. And, that's so tasty. And just today, right. Those are the excuses. So, same things happens in our business. So what's your take on that, Kylene?
Well, I think it's huge. I think it gives you that foundation to make those choices on. So when you're really clear about why you're doing what you're doing, when those temptations show up, you're able to make the choice that's going to get you closer and feel better for you inside. But those excuses show up and temptations show up all the time. And so being really clear is huge, and knowing why you're doing what you're doing just helps you keep moving forward, because I know I can find lots of other things to do sometimes when I'm not truly invested in what I'm doing or understand why am I doing this activity. I can find lots of other things to do instead. Yep. And so that's not a path that takes you to success very fast.
No, but that's human nature, right? And there's nothing bad about that. It's just, again, we haven't taken the time to have enough clarity as to why our reason's more important than our excuses. So that's the core essence of it, I believe. But then there's some other things that kind of evolve out of that in my mind. Because then the next thing that happens after we have some clarity of reason is we have to set some goals. And we're all very good at setting goals, I believe, right? Oh, I want to lose weight. I want to grow my business. I want to do this, but we're not very good at achieving goals all the time, right? Only a small percentage of people actually are able to achieve their goals. But anybody can. But what I believe is happening in a lot of cases is when we don't understand why we're doing something, we're then setting goals based on somebody else's idea of success, based on somebody else's, what we think somebody else wants for us. Right.
Yeah.
This is why these, programs where, you've got to be $100,000 business. I'm not a big fan of those kinds of things because why? Right. What if that's not for you? What if what if success to you is different? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make you not a good business person because you're not striving for $100,000 a year? Or what if you're somebody that says, oh, you got to strive for $1 million a year and you're not that's literally happened to people that have worked with other business consultants in our industry, that they were scoffed at because they weren't trying to have a brick and mortar and be $1 million a year business. And they weren't worthy of helping. I was like, whoa, right? But
and then when you hear that message and you're already not clear,
yeah,
it can really create this perfect storm to kind of make you feel stuck and lost.
Yep. And then you're trying to achieve somebody else's goal.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how hard you work at it, no matter how much willpower you put into it, no matter how many resources you throw at it, if it is not aligned with who you are and what's important to you, you will sabotage it. And again, it's human nature. We cannot overcome our human nature. I don't care how hard you try. So how about instead we work together with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's to me because we'll talk a little bit more about this later on, but we start going, oh, well, if I'm focusing on me and what my goals are, then I'm being selfish. But I'm going to show you why that's not true here in a little bit. So,
that's huge.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other part of this is, and I guess kind of the last reason that this is important, right? Everything revolves around reasons, is that clarity is so important, right? Having clarity of your message, clarity of what your intentions are, right? The more clarity we can have on things, the better our message is going to become, right?
Mm-hmm.
The better the share will become, right? Because once we start sharing that out there, then what's going to happen is then we're going to start attracting more of the right people, more of the right customers, more of the right help, more of the right resources, because we have clarity, right? And so as you've gotten more clear on yours, Kylene, how has that shown up for you?
I think for me, this has been the biggest, amazing part of all of it is once I allowed myself to identify as a yoga teacher and really understand the success principles and how it all kind of fits together through this process. So I empower success-minded people with mind and body healing. And when I just say that, everything inside me gets kind of fired up and excited. And I think people can understand what I am talking about. And then therefore I start attracting the right people to me. And it's been, just in our local community, once I got clear about that, I, have had 2 studios that I'm working with. The chiropractor, understood what I was wanting to do and allowed me to come into his office and teach a live class. These things started happening because I was finally clear and about what it was that I was doing and able to share with the world.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, what do you need today? I can do this and I can do this. Once I was really clear, it's kind of, I would use the word magical because it kind of was, it's like you flipped a switch and it just allowed all those good things to come to you to help share your gifts.
Yeah. And I love that magical is such a great word, right? And we want to shy away from that in maybe, oh, that's too woo-woo or whatever the reason is that you might shy, that would be a reason that I would shy away from something like that. Oh, I'm the business guy, so I can't talk about magical things. And, but the reality of it is it feels like magic. It just, what I've come to discover in getting to work with people on this, and even myself, right? Once I get more clarity, I physically feel, right? Like when you're kind of unsure and you've got kind of the weight of the world on you. And as soon as you get that clarity, you open up, right? You just lift up. I saw that in you once that statement really kind of hit home for you. I mean, like physically, I could see you get bigger, right? Taller, wider, more open, right? Physically, but then also just in your eyes, right? In your soul, you can kind of just like this, it is like magical. It's like this spark going out there. So, it's so valuable. So, all right. Well, let me do this. We've got a couple of comments I want to get to here real quick, Kylene, but I also want to encourage you guys, if you are tuned in live right now, or even if you're watching the replay, or if you're catching the podcast version, take just a moment here and go share this with somebody, right, that you believe is going to be helped by understanding this a little bit more. Just, you can just open up a separate window if you're tuned in live and hear us in the background here. And so we'll cover a couple of these comments and then we can get into the process. How's that sound, Kylene?
Sounds perfect. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are sharing. I also want to talk to Michelle. Says, yes, I'm recovering. I have the SAP, which is the Success Action Plan, next to me to work on today. Also been working on my why and goals for my health this week. So wonderful, Michelle. We're super proud of you, especially in that recovery phase, to have that energy and ability to do that. So you're pretty darn incredible. We always knew that. Yeah. Lenny, this is why I was so excited for Lenny to show up. He helps. Again, another perspective. I love those other perspectives. And so Lenny says, go ahead, Kylie. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I just was reading ahead. Reacting. Sorry.
All good. Lenny says, clarity truly makes your vision clearer. It's like putting the right prescription glasses on. That's such a great analogy, right? When if you are somebody that wears glasses, right, you wake up in the morning and things are a little bit foggy and you're not real sure about things, and you put the glasses on and up. I remember getting a new pair of glasses when I was younger, right? You went from having these glasses that were a couple prescriptions too old, and you put the new ones on and it was like a whole new world was available to you now.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing analogy there. And how it can be so powerful.
Yeah. So, good morning, Facebook user. Good to have you tuned in here. All right, Kylene. Well, shall we talk about the process here a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right. Well, when I talk about this process, and I think we've hit on this a little bit already, but I want to make sure that we hit this home because I think this is probably the most important part. All of this starts within, right? So as I've talked to people and they're just kind of in that, I'm just getting into this, and you hear what, if you just went up to somebody that really hasn't done much work on this and said, what's your purpose? What's your mission statement? And it's this like, it sounds really great, but you can just tell it's all about, is this going to attract business for me? Right? Is this the right marketing message? Did Chat GPT tell me this? Right. and don't get me wrong, I love Chat GPT, but this does not come from an AI. Right. This starts within, right? This is everything to do with you. And I think especially the folks that we get to be around, Kylene, and people like you struggle with this for sure because of your caring, giving, people pleasing, whatever those terms are for you, right? How does that show up for you, Kylene? What was that?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be a helper. I wanted to make everyone's life better, and I could do that by helping them. And then especially I remember when we started this journey, you'd be like, okay, does that feel right to you? Like you would always bring it back to me, and I'd be like, yeah. But really at the core, I wasn't allowing myself to share exactly how it was feeling because I didn't have language to it yet. I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah. And you didn't change from being a helper, right? You just got more clarity on what being a helper meant to you, right? But then the other side of it too was, the reason to always come back to you is because, you if you don't identify with it, right, it just isn't very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So,
And then those excuses and all those things happen. And
yeah.
And then you don't feel good inside, and it just it all spirals from there, right?
And so you came at it from a perspective of, I want to be a helper, I want to please people, right? I want to be that people pleaser, but you ended up not pleasing anybody because, there was no, not that you're not pleasing anybody. Sorry, that was an extreme statement. I don't mean it like that, but
No, I get it. Yeah.
to prove the point, right? When in reality, once you started focusing on yourself, that's when you could finally start helping people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, uncomfortable at first, and hard at first, because it's a lot easier to focus on other people than it is to focus on yourself sometimes. And so allowing myself that grace going through the process was really, really helpful.
Yeah. Well, like Lenny's analogy with clarity, I've used an analogy with people when it comes to this of the, if you've been on a plane, which I believe most people have, but one of the statements that they make when you're on a plane, that if you are with your child on that plane and the cabin loses pressure, you are to put your oxygen mask on first and then help your child.
Yeah.
Right. So at its surface level, you're going, that's selfish. Why am I taking care of myself first?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, you cannot help your child if you do not put on your oxygen mask first. When you are passed out, you will not be able to help anyone. And that's what we do to ourselves, right? We're trying to put everybody else's oxygen mask on first, and we pass out, and then we wonder why we can't help anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we talk about that, just with self-care. Like I totally get self-care and believe it's critical to being able to show up for other people. We have to fill our cup up first, so we can have stuff to give to other people. And the same thing applies right here. You have to be clear for yourself.
Yeah.
So you can show up the best version of you every day.
Yeah. So if going inside and really focusing on you and your desires and your passions and your strengths is a challenge, then you got to do whatever it takes to, say, I'm going to be selfish right now. Let me try this. Act as if this is going to work, because ultimately, if you don't do this part, if you don't get to this part, you will never be sharing your gifts. You'll never be sharing what's truly important to you. You'll never be sharing what you are supposed to do. Right. And you're going to constantly be chasing someone else's idea of success and never get there, because it's not your idea of success. So you don't know what the finish line looks like. Right. So I think that's the number one step in the process.
Yeah.
And so what was it for you that allowed you to get to that point where you could kind of go internal and focus a little bit more on your gifts and yourself?
I think it was not seeing the results that I felt like I should be seeing, and feeling when I was sharing with other people that people didn't understand, and I knew it. You can sense when someone's not on the same page as you, right?
Yeah.
Or when they introduce you to someone, they're not sure how to share what you do, right?
Yeah.
I think when I kept having those, and then I didn't have my old career that I had an identity with, right?
Yeah.
I was like, this does not feel right, and I need to commit to this so I can be the wife, the mom, the Kylene that I know I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, I listen to those feelings.
Yeah. One thing that really stood out to me too was this, and maybe it was this year when we were going over. So Kylene and I do this thing where we kind of review our previous year and kind of look ahead, and it's a little bit of a soul searching, and it's just an opportunity for us to really make sure that we're on the same page, right? We've committed to each other for the rest of our lives, and we want to make sure that we're working together. And so you made a statement that really stood out to me, and you said, I need to stop lying to myself.
Yeah.
Right. So tell us about that real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, you
said take it easy on you, but hey, why not?
What did you say? Take it easy?
You said take it easy on me earlier before we got started today, but
well, and I think, I look back on like some of the themes and the things that I was talking about with Thankful Thursday. which is about gratitude. I really, I'm so good about showing up for other people and doing all of that, but I wasn't taking care of myself, and I wasn't being honest with myself about what brings me joy. And I wasn't connecting to what I was currently doing because I hadn't put in the work. I was pushing it off because it was uncomfortable, right? But yet I was trying to be this image of helping other people. There was a conflict there.
Yeah.
I wasn't truly being honest with who I am as a person. So I knew I had to share that. And when I shared that with you, it was scary, but it was also extremely powerful, to allow myself to kind of just take a deep breath. Okay, I was honest. I shared exactly how I'm feeling about where I'm at with things. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves. We know deep down when you're showing up and it's not 100% of who you're supposed to be, I think is the biggest thing. What brings you joy? What brings you that fulfillment? All that good stuff.
Yep. And I think a lot of times it does get back to that, right? It makes us feel selfish, and the reality of it, that it's the opposite of selfish, and acting that way is actually truly selfish.
Yeah. Or doing what you think you need to do to survive. So there's a little bit of that, right? So I don't want people to think that I'm being completely unrealistic. Like, I understand that, you have to do certain things at times to survive and all that, pay your bills and those kinds of things. But I think it's still so important to, like you were saying, carve out that time. I'm going to make this time for me to do this process, because once I do this, then all those other things that don't bring me joy, I can do less of, right? Because I'm doing more of what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Did I kind of get off track there?
Oh, perfect. That's exactly the point. That change of perspective is what I was hoping that you would bring, and I knew you would. So, okay. Well, I think we've got some clarity on that now. So really, from that space of, let me look inside, let me think about me, let me feel a little bit selfish, right? And again, using, for those of you listening to the podcast side of this, I'm using air quotes around selfish, right? So with that being said, then I mentioned already kind of how this long process, and got to a place of like, oh my gosh, I don't even have this, right? I was that oddball that didn't really have a true purpose. I was just meant to work for somebody else, right? What the turning point was for me was I was trying to make this purpose why something like out here, out away, right? And somehow, some way, I was able to understand that my core values, my strengths, the things that are important to me, is also the purpose, right? You wouldn't be given these strengths, you wouldn't be given these abilities, these skills, if it wasn't part of your purpose. But for whatever reason, I tried to separate those two things. And so ultimately for me, it was a thing called the Clifton Strengths Finder, and we'll get to that in 1 second. But it can be as simple as just understanding what your core values are. So the first way that we can do that is, I'm going to put a little link in here, and it is, there we go. If you go to osg.link/core value, in fact, if you are watching the live, I will even put a little QR code up there above Kylene. So you can take a picture of Kylene and the QR code. But anyways, so go to that link, and what you're going to get is, you're going to get this list of words. It's just a whole bunch of value words, and the process is just read through that list, and any word that kind of puts that spark, that fire, what did you call it? Kind of the magic. It makes you feel magic. Just put a little mark next to it, whether it's a check mark or whatever. And just all of them, anyone that kind of stands out to you, that it's like, that's me, right? Put a mark next to it. Then come back and take those ones that you put a mark next to, and find any common themes, right? Can we narrow that list down to maybe the top 20, right? And then from there, you want to do the same thing. Basically, our goal here is to continue to narrow that list down into the 5 words that mean the most to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that can, and you can go about that a lot of different ways. One of the favorite tools that we've learned through our success principle training to kind of narrow things down when you can't really determine, like this or that. If you put this or that up next to each other and you say, if I have this, but could never have that, which one would I choose? Or vice versa. If I have this or could never have that, which one would I choose? And that helps us get to that, because like you said, we have to trust our gut. We have to trust our instinct, right? We have to come back to that. So that's the first place you can start. And some people might have a lot of clarity out of that and be good to go, right?
Because that helps you put language to what you're feeling inside. And I think that's why it's such an important tool to start with. Because we can say all these things, but once you finally have those words that truly connect to to that feeling, and like Aaron said, you know what words create that magical feeling for you inside and resonate with you in a bigger way as you go through this process.
Yeah, definitely. And good morning, Becky. Good to see you. Yeah. Okay, so that's one way, right? And again, some people might have some clarity and they can kind of run with it from there. I still did not. I probably picked the words out that I thought were going to have the best marketing message or whatever, right? Do something for somebody else. So the next thing you can look at is let's kind of understand not only our values, but our values and our strengths, right? So, and there are lots of different strength finder type programs out there. The best free one that I found is a thing called the high five test. And I will put that into the chat for those of you that are in the live version here, but it's osg.link/high five test. And it's a free test you can take. Now you'll take this test and then they'll say, oh, you can pay to get a little more depth. And you can certainly do that. But if you're willing to pay for this, hang tight. Okay. So, and I'm going to put a QR code up for that one as well, but osg.link/high five, the number 5 test. And you're going to just go through and answer a series of questions. It takes about 15 minutes to do this, to answer these questions. And it basically gives you a little slider and you're going to say how much you identify with that, right? Kind of one way or the other. And out will pop a list of what they believe are your top 5 strengths and some description of what those things mean, right? And it's just a general quick description. And that really, and then if you did the core value words thing, you can take those 2 things and kind of look at them side by side and go, oh, what really stands out, right? Now we're getting more clarity. Now we're getting a little more understanding, a little more depth, right?
It's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together. It's a tool, one more tool that you have to use to kind of put it all together. Yeah, for sure. So that's another way. But then if you really do want to take this further, this is what Kylene and I did. I did it first, and it was so powerful for me that I think I either talked you into it or you wanted to do it. I can't remember how that went. Well, I'm sure I wanted to do it. I love this stuff. Yeah.
I just had it happen. I was working at a co-working location at the time, and I had an opportunity to, there was some event that was going on there, and there was a guy in the room that for whatever reason, we just were meant to talk to each other, right? It's, those experiences, right? Where there's a bunch of people in the room, but there's one person that stands out, and it just so happened that, everybody else was talking to each other. And so he and I were standing there, like we started talking. And he is a strengths finders coach. That's what he does. And so I signed up with him. I actually had him on Small Business Saturdays years ago to talk about it. His name's Dan Vincent. And he put us through the Clifton Strengths. So let me put that up there real quick, because now I can connect you with Dan if you want somebody to actually that is certified to walk through this with you. But we can. That may be a little bit more depth, right? So I'm going to put this up there, and we'll get to that comment here in just a second, Facebook user. So hang tight. Let me get to the right thing here. So that's osg.link/Clifton Strengths. And I will put a QR code up for that one as well. Now, once you get there, you're going to see 2 tests. There's going to be the full 34, but for this particular purpose, I think all you need is the top 5.
Yeah.
Right. And because what I've discovered is because thank goodness I had a coach that was helping me with this, because I did the full 34 and then immediately went to the bottom and was like horrified by what my they call them low strengths. In my mind, these are my weaknesses, right? But they're not, right? They're just the things that are, we need to be aware of, so they're not blind spots. But that's why just going with the top 5, you avoid that overthinking side of it, right? So the top 5, you don't happen to know what your top 5 off the top of your head are?
I do. Excuse me, I tickled my throat. I pulled it up. It's harmony, developer, positivity, belief, and consistency, and empathy is number 6. But yeah.
Got it.
Yep. And harmony and positivity could not be more true for who I am as a person.
Yeah, it speaks to you. So mine are significance, restorative, competition, achiever, and focus. So significance is making an impact, restorative is problem solving, competition is competition, right? Yep. I strive to be the best. Achiever, just hard work, dedication, that kind of thing. And focus is obviously focus. I can get into the zone. Don't bother me while I'm in the zone, right, Kylene?
Yes, you can. Yeah. And for me, the developer part, kind of was what connected the positivity and harmony together, because that's seeing the potential in other people and bringing that out.
Yeah.
And developing them.
Yeah.
So.
And so what is having these things, how did understanding these core values make kind of your purpose become a little bit more clear?
I knew that it gave me direction, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word for that, but it gave me that pathway to keep going, because when I would find myself drifting off to potentially what I think I should be doing instead of what I truly want to be doing, it gave me that direction and that pathway. And then I was able to kind of pick out what do I do every day that brings me that joy? What can I do without realizing how long I've been doing it? It gave me that path, if you will.
Yeah.
Language to it.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. Let's get a comment in from Facebook user coming to us from one of the groups out there. So looking for happiness and finding joy are 2 different things to me. It held me back for a long time. I looked at happiness as more of a surface feeling, but my true self came through as I learned how to go within and find quiet, peaceful joy. Only then was I able to radiate that out to others and in my business. I love that. Excellent.
That's huge. Yeah.
Good.
I mean, that's just great insight and awareness.
Yeah. But I love that the other part about that is the depth, right? I think in today's attention grabbing world, fast paced, we're all so busy. Yeah. It's so surface level, right? And I think that's kind of the challenge of social media, right? If you just rely on all of your interactions through typing, it's so surface level, right? Yeah. And you never get the true feelings and meanings and emotions. So anyhow, I could go way off on that for a long time.
Yeah. And that's where, the quieting your mind and meditation and the self-care part comes in too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's when you allow yourself to have those new connections. So that's awesome.
I love that. Yeah, great point. All right. So from there, right, again, you maybe depending on who you are, where you're at, you might really have it certainly lit a spark for me, but I still felt like there was more, right? I still wasn't real clear for myself. And so the next part comes into play so those are your core values, right? And even though it's called a strengths finder, I believe those are kind of still, maybe they're strengths, but they're more values, right? And so I needed to take that another step further and kind of identify the actual tasks, right? The actual actions that made me who I am, right?
Mhm.
And ultimately, it's just answering this question: what are you good at?
Yeah.
And again, our need to the servant heart, right? Sometimes will get in the way of that because, again, you feel like you're being selfish, you feel like you're being egotistical, you feel whatever those feelings are that get in the way of you truly identifying what you're good at,
Mhm.
right? And because it's also very difficult to identify what you're good at because you are so good at it. Right?
Yeah.
It's second nature to you, so you don't even know that you're good at it a lot of times, right? And
Mhm.
so how do we dig into that, right? How do you find what you're good at? I mean, the good old fashioned phone a friend, right?
Yeah.
What am I good? I mean, we had those conversations, right? Like,
Yeah.
Kylene, what am I good at? Right? And you would
Yeah.
say it, and I'd go, I don't know. And then I'd start thinking about it. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's your process of going through it, and you hear what someone says to you or what I was saying to you, and then in your brain you're analyzing it and then making sense of that information.
Yeah.
Again, it's pieces of the puzzle coming together for you
Yeah.
to get closer.
Yeah. Yeah. And so another really good way to kind of dig into this is, and I won't get it exactly right because I don't have it in front of me, and it's a little bit longer statement, but this quote was associated with Einstein, and what he said was, if I had a problem that my life depended on solving and I only had an hour to do it, I would spend the first 55 minutes figuring out the questions to ask, because once I know the questions to ask, then the answer becomes clear, or something along those lines, right? And so if the main question we're trying to answer is, what are you good at? Right? How can I ask that in different ways? How can I question myself? How can I ask more questions that's going to get me deeper to that? So I have a list of, I don't know, 8-ish or so questions here that I use that help me kind of get a little more clarity on some of this. So now, if you are in one of the groups watching right now, these are not going to pop up in your comments section there. So you do have to go to the Facebook, just to our direct business page over there at Our Success Group Pro if you're on Facebook, or if you wanted to pop over on YouTube, these questions will show up in the comments and you can copy and paste them into something for yourself here. So I'm going to put those out into the comments right now.
Cool.
Oh, actually YouTube didn't allow it because a little bit long, but that's okay. And then I'll just share them because it kind of jumbled up there. But the first one is, what task or project do I lose all track of time when I'm involved with it? Right? When you're in the flow, right? That's when you lose track of time because you're so engaged in it, right? Is there a task or project that you find yourself in?
Well, obviously yoga, when I am doing that, I can lose all track of time. But when I am able to talk to people and listen to them and hear their story, as you know, you guys kind of tease me sometimes about it, but I love hearing people's stories. I love listening to them and pulling out those positive things from the story, and kind of finding their their greatness in their stories. I love that. So that's one of my things.
Yeah, I like it. So, Dean, I got your comment. We'll come back to that because I want to respectfully disagree. So, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, but we'll get to that. So, hang tight. Okay, so what do people come to me for advice or guidance about? Right? That could point to what you're good at. If I knew my business could not fail, right, what would I be doing? Because you'd be attracted to what you're good at. Just be honest, right? If we weren't trying to have other people's goals for us at the front of our plate, we would be doing what we're good at, right? What would I like to change or contribute to the world, right? You want to go bigger, right? Maybe for you, it's not enough depth. Some people really need to have a bigger, wider meaning, right? And if I had more time to hone my skills, I would be really good at fill in the blank, right? Again, maybe it's the fact that you just feel like you don't have enough time to do it. You're overwhelmed. My biggest fear of being successful. That's an interesting one, right?
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, we think about all these fears of failure and all these other things, but the fear of being successful is probably more
How do I add more
difficult
to
to
my plate?
overcome. Yeah, yeah. So, and then another one: if I had $1 billion in the bank, I would. Right? If you were financially free, I would. Right? What would you be doing? Right? So,
Yeah.
So I guess Kylene, knowing what you're good at, how has that changed things for you?
Well, it's allowed me to, again, like you said at the beginning, be honest with myself. What was I doing that wasn't bringing me that joy? And what have I been doing that brought me that joy? And that I was able to continue to ask why. Why does that bring me joy? Why?
Yeah.
And really get to the core of it.
Yeah.
Was huge.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. Okay. And then the last thing here is, again, from that place, maybe you're kind of ready to move forward, and that's fine. But I like to bring in this third thing because it helps me then pinpoint it. And I'll show you a picture in just 1 second. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. There, kind of covers us up a little bit. No, it doesn't look very good up in the top right. But our core values, our passions, what we're good at, and then the oppositions. Wow, this does not really look good on screen. I'll have to fix this. So, but our reason is right in the center of that, right? And so I'll share that picture out there in a comment where you can actually read it. But so this opposition, right? This is the right. I guess let me change paths here real quick. Yeah, really, no matter how deep you think that you're getting in the first two, there might still be some ambiguity here. Not an easy word to say. And so the whole reason to find the oppositions, the negatives, right, is again to get a little more depth, because the reality is the things that are our biggest pet peeves, the things that really drive us mad, right, the things that bug us, the opposite of those things are our reason, our purpose, our core values, right? And so this also again helps us get a little more clarity, because sometimes we have a hard time defining what it is because we don't know what it's not. Right. And so another list of questions that I can pop into the chat here that I would go with, but Kylene, before I do that, how does this show up for you, or what does this opposition thing? And I know you being joy and harmony.
I mean, I think it's huge because, like we've been saying all along, sometimes you don't know where to start. So these things of finding out, okay, well, I know it's not this, and I know it's these things are not drive me crazy. These things are my pet peeves. These things I put off all the time, all those things. Bringing that to your awareness is huge, because then okay, as I move forward, how do I do less of that and more of whatever is showing up then at that moment? It's, again, one step closer to getting clear on that why.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, well, let me pop these questions in here, and then Dean is persistent, so we're going to have to address this. And good. This is we want perspectives, right? We want differences of opinions. So here we go. You go into the comments here, but the first one would be like, what traits in our business do I avoid? What, or maybe who do you refuse to do business with and why? Right, that could be a good question to ask to find those things out. What do I want to have less of in my business? Right, less people that are concerned about price. Right, less less challenges with X, Y, or Z. Right, or something like that. Really good question though is just, what's your number one pet peeve? What gets you the most frustrated? What do I absolutely hate about? Or I'm sorry, what do I actually absolutely hate doing in business? And yes, I know hate is a strong word, but we're trying to get at strong feelings here, and we're trying to get at their root. And so sometimes we've got to get into a little bit of something that makes us a little uncomfortable, right? A little bit of something that's like, ugh. But
Yeah.
if I can get to that, I get to that root of that, and then understand the opposite of it, then you can, solve the problem. And then, even though we use this in the other way, my biggest fear of being successful is, right, that could be also be an opposition, right? So,
Yeah, all of those are really important things to do in this process.
Yeah. All right. So what is the opposition of your reason, Kylene? What and I guess how have those helped you kind of clarify some things?
Well, one of the things is if I'm not working with people, I found, working alone is not a good thing for me. I need to be connecting with others in that way. And so I was trying to stretch it for a while and force some connections, and it wasn't really bringing me that sense of fulfillment, that sense of joy. So I really was not liking working alone. I needed that connection part. So
yeah. Well, which then also helps you, if we take this a step further, we get beyond this, right? This also helps you then identify how you are going to do business, right? I mean, as a yoga instructor, you could just record videos and allow people to just watch them in their moment, but that's not who you are. So
that's not giving me that connection point with them.
Yeah, for sure.
It's giving me more opportunities, right, to share it, but at the same time, I'm not feeling that sense of connection. So
yeah. Jan here says, my favorite question that I ask people is, are you afraid of being wildly successful? And now we see you, Jan. So no more Facebook user. All right. Well, can we get back and address Dean's comments here, Kylene?
Yeah, I didn't get.
And I'm interested in your perspective on what he's saying, and maybe I'm misreading them here.
Okay.
But Dean says, I would just jump in and figure it out along the way. Stop wasting time thinking about it. And if the person is drowning and everyone's standing around watching the person drown, and there's one person jumps in and pulls them to shore, standing around does not get that person to the shore.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that before?
I think I feel like what I think Dean is saying, and I like this part, is you're going out there and you're trying it. You're getting your hands wet, if you will. You're getting your hands dirty. You're actually doing the task to see, okay, is this for me? Is this not for me?
Yeah.
And I think that's what everything we're talking about is, going back to what you have done in your life that has not brought you that joy, has brought you that joy, or has given you that sense of fulfillment. And I think as soon as you can do this, I call it like an intellectual task, spending the time to really write this stuff down, getting clear for yourself about what you're going to do, I think is huge. I feel like what Dean's saying is get to work, get trying to do something instead of just getting stuck in the thoughts. And I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah. And I certainly agree with that, right? We definitely need to take action. To me, this is definitely not a go lock yourself in a room for a couple of weeks and just think and meditate. Right. We do have to get it out there and start putting it into action. This has been a, and Dean is saying that, right? Taking action to whatever you're doing or trying to do. Right. And so really, really good point. I'm glad that Dean brings that up, but I do also want to caution, right? Like going back to his analogy of, jumping in to save the person that's drowning. Right. Well, if everybody's standing on the shore and trying to figure out what to do, and you just run and jump in there, and then you get yourself to a point where somebody's got to come rescue you too, right? Is that real? Right. So we have to take action, but we have to take strategic action. Right. And so maybe sometimes we feel like we are a little bit stuck and yet just keep pounding our head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over again. Right? This is where we have to then stop, slow down, and say, okay, let me think about this, right? Because if you're wearing a weighted vest while you're standing on that shore, are you going to take off the weighted vest before you jump in, or should you just take action and jump in because everybody else is just standing around, right? So that's my challenge, my perspective change is like, this is all about taking that weighted vest off in my mind, right? And again, I'm not trying to be contrary to Dean. Dean knows that I have a ton of respect for him, and that we're able to have these conversations. So and I love just having those alternate perspectives. And I know that's not what Dean's saying, right? Just go blindly into it. He's a very smart guy, and he takes action and he moves forward. But sometimes if we're not where we want to be, sometimes it's important to just stop and change the action, right?
Yeah.
And we can't change the action if we don't have clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's again my period. Yeah, he says, I think whatever you are doing, you have some skill. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's taking that positive approach and then looking at that. Well, when I have this skill and when I am doing this, is this what brings me joy? Coming back to these questions as you work through this process to find your why, your clarity.
Yeah. And again, I'm not just trying to play devil's advocate to everything Dean's saying, because I do agree 100% with what he's saying. But the whole point about the skills, right? I do have some skills at playing golf. So should I just go out and try to become a professional golfer? No, because I don't love it that much, right? It actually drives me nuts. I've got some skills at it, but I'm not going to go kind of make that. So the point for me here is understanding who you truly are at your core.
Yep.
So that you can make more strategic decisions, right? Because I think once we start listening to our instincts here, to me, the whole point of this clarifying your reason is to convert your feelings or the actions that are going to come from those feelings into language so we can be more intentional about our business, right? This is going to give us the foundation to set goals from. This is the foundation to making decisions from, right? This is the foundation to align yourself with the right people and projects. This is the foundation to determine how you're going to operate your business, right? The foundation to speak to what your brand should be and therefore what your marketing message is. So,
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was laughing at Dean's latest comment. So, and Jean says, know thyself. That's right. And Dean says, your poor dad, he just wants a little time with you in the grass.
He does.
True. And that's why I still play golf, Dean, right? Because there's a reason there that's more important than my disdain for the game. I love it. All right. Well, Kylene, we've gone super long here, and I know there's still a little bit more to this, and I want to kind of give people this last little piece, because I don't want to leave just an open circle. This is not a sales pitch. Yes, that's right. I do have some skill, Dean. So from here, right, we need it to be something that we can use, right? We need it to be, so we've got all these great bits of understanding, as Jan said, knowing thyself, right? That spiritual understanding, right? From that perspective, but how do we then use this? Right. And ultimately, to me, it just comes down to having a statement that we can kind of use as that guiding light, right? And some people call it a mission statement, the why, your purpose. I call it the reason, because I like that whole understanding of my reasons have to be bigger than my excuses. So to me, there's this kind of breakdown of what things are going to be included in this statement. And I'm going to put them on the bottom here, but it's action word, who, impact, and results. And those, to me, those are the four basic parts. They typically go in that order, but don't have to, right? This is uniquely you. So let me just describe these things real quick. We're not going to get super deep into this because we've already gone an hour and 10 minutes here. But that action word normally is at the start because it gets us going, right? I look at it as like the starting gun of a race, right? That's the indication to get moving. It's the indication to, as Dean put it, jump in and save the person and drag him to shore, right? What's that action? The action word for me is empowering. For whatever reason, that word speaks to me, and I'm clear with that, right? I'm the type of person that I don't get joy out of doing it for somebody. right? That actually brings more frustration. I get joy out of being able to empower people to do it on their own, right? So that's why empowering is important to me, right? So that's one part of it. Who, and because we're not all things for everybody, right? We don't, while we can find peace and joy and happiness with everybody, we have it, humans have a tribe, right? We have tribes, we have people. So who are those people, right? Who are the people that need our gifts? Who are the people that are going to get the most from our gifts, right? So that's the who. And then the impact, what is that specific impact, right? What is the thing that you do? And what is that impact going to be? And then finally, the results. And again, I say finally as I explain it, not as in they have to be in this order, but finally the results, right? How do others benefit from your gifts? What are the results of the impact that you're going to be making? And as I mentioned, this is a work in progress for me. It's always an uncovering process. I'm learning more and more about me and the depth at which I can help other people. And so it used to be empowering small business owners empowering small business owners through actionable resources to achieve their idea of success, right? That was only a week ago that was my mission. I've already forgot it because I'm so focused on this new clarity. So the new clarity is empowering proactive small business owners to develop a winning mindset with resources to nurture essential fundamentals so they unlock their potential. Right. And so I've got my action word, proactive small business owners. I was able to get more clarity, right? Not all small business owners are for me. I want the proactive ones. I want the action takers. I want people like Dean, right? I'm invigorated by people like Dean who want to take action. And then, developing, right? This is winning mindset. Nurture was an important word for me. Again, that growth. And then unlock their potential. It comes from that fact that I believe everybody has the potential for greatness, for success, for whatever that is that they're after. It's just that not everybody's going to earn it, right? Yep. So they need to unlock it, right? They need to earn the key. So anyhow, that's mine. What about you?
Empower success-minded people with mind and body healing.
All right. So why was empower important for you?
Because I want people to realize their greatness and their gifts and empower them to do something with it. And and so the success-minded people, if someone's going to not have that growth mindset, I don't know if I'm necessarily the right person for them. I can try to motivate, cultivate it, but they have to want more for themselves. That's kind of where I came up with that. The impact, the healing part and the results, the mind and body healing is my impact and results.
And I love that, right? And like I said, these things don't all have to be there in that order. They don't have to be exactly that thing, right? That the impact is the mind body healing. But the healing is also the result. Right? You're a healer, right? You're a caretaker, right? You had an interest in being a nurse when you were younger, right? The healers, the caretakers, I love that. Okay. All right. Well, anything else, Kylene? I think due to the time here, right? We probably need to cut this off. We could probably go all day. Now, if you're sitting there going, okay, I get it, I need more help, right? Now, if you're somebody that's already invested in the Success Action Plan, we brought that up already. You've got the support. This is a big part of what we do at the front end of that is support you through that. If you're somebody that's in the Masters of Success, like Dean, like Kylene, I think Becky was here, Tanya, right? That's all part of being in the Masters of Success. You have that action plan, the Success Action Plan built into it. Now, I did stop offering the Success Action Plan if you didn't have a chance to take advantage of that, because there's a bit more to it. We get into setting goals and some other things, and to me that's more of an annual thing. So I probably won't start offering that again until we get around to the the beginning of the year is more of a goal setting thing. But I do have a tool out there where Kylene and I will help you clarify your reason if you're looking for help, right? Again, hopefully this has given you enough that you can go and run with this. But if you're feeling stuck, we know that we can boost your time frame on this, right? You want to dive into dragging people up to the shore a little bit quicker, right? Then we can. I know we can help you because we've seen success with other people. I had an opportunity to work with somebody last week, and again, as we talked about at the beginning, Kylene, just physically you could see it, right? The next opportunity to talk to her, it was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool, right? I mean, I was emotional. It was that empowering to me. So anyhow, if you'll go to, and I'll take this banner off so it's not in the way here. Just down right below Kylene is coachosg.com. If you go over there, the very top one is called Clarify Your Reason. And it's an offer that you can sign up for that both myself and Kylene will support you in clarifying this. And when you sign up for this, you will also get that we're going to pay for that Clifton Strengths Finder, that five top strengths. We're going to pay for that, and then you'll take it, and then we'll be able to go over that together with you, and then kind of dig into what that means and how we might be able to craft that mission statement for you. So, so then there's plenty of then interaction after the fact with that. So check that out. It's called Clarify Your Reason over there at coachosg.com. So what else, Kylene? What do we miss?
I guess I don't think you missed anything. I think just going through this process, even if you already have your clarity and your why, sometimes it's good just to reevaluate and ask yourself some of these questions, because you want to make sure you're always in alignment with who you feel like you are inside, who you were truly made to be, and share your gifts. So reevaluating it too, I think, is really important.
Love it.
As you just did.
Yeah,
as you get more
literally did it this last weekend. So
Yep.
in the car on the way back from Louisiana, I was thinking through that.
A couple-hour car drive.
Yeah.
Or phone call, I should say.
Yep. Kylene was on the phone with me working through it, and it was pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, Kylene, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the perspectives. Thank you guys who were tuned in here for your perspectives, your ideas, your comments, your questions. For those of you that listen to the podcast version, if you can make it happen, check out a live version from time to time over there at our Facebook page at Our Success Group Pro, or you can find us on YouTube by going to liveosg.com. And also make sure that you guys are tuned in on Thursday afternoons at 1 p.m. for Kylene's Thankful Thursday program, where she talks about gratitude, all sorts of different success principle things, and really great opportunity. And if you can't make it at 1 o'clock Central Time on a Thursday afternoon, we get it. Go catch the replay. But here's the deal: when you catch the replay, make sure you comment. Just put hashtag replay if that's. But share your thoughts, your insights, right? This is about the community growing, and we appreciate you guys commenting and participating with us. So, Kylene, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun sharing about this process.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you for doing the work to clarify your reasons so you can help more people.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready.
Right. Have a great Saturday, everybody. We'll talk to everybody.
Everyone.